Hi guys, this is one of the videos that would make you become a better chess player. In this video, I would expose 3 squares and 2 pieces that can enable you perform double attack successfully on the chessboard. Even as a beginner, you can catch expert players unaware. Let's dive right into it. This is an empty chessboard. The first thing I want to show you on this chessboard are 3 squares you need to pay attention to when you start your chess journey, especially when you want to move from the regular activity you used to play to a new activity. This idea works well in the middle game and in the end game. Well, sometimes it works well also in the opening. So most experienced players prepare against it. Prepare not to fall into such traps of double attack. So, what are these 3 squares? The first square is A4. A4 is a square you can use to make a double attack against your enemy king standing on E8 against a piece along this 4th rank, especially with your queen standing on D1. Another square, which is the second square I will show to you, is F7. F7 is used very well by the bishop and the knight when attacking the black king. Although we have another square, which is F2 against white too, if you want to plan against white. But for this learning purpose, to make it very simple and straightforward, I'm going to stick to this idea on F7. Then the third square we're going to look at is F3. We have many squares like that. However, on this video, what I want to do for you is to give you a knowledge that you hold on to and say, yes, I've actually learned something solid from this video. Let's dive right into the first example. Knight and queen are the 2 pieces I'm going to use in this illustration throughout, combining with these 3 squares to make your double attack journey stronger and catching your opponent unaware. So, the first example makes use of the knight. This is how it works. In a game, this game was played a long time ago. Now, the 2 players understand the principle of developing pieces and going toward the center. That's why you can see knight on F3 and knight on C6 respectively, performing this following function. This knight vacates G1 so that the king can be castled in the next few moves, and the knight also attacks the pawn. This prompts black to respond with a knight on C6 to defend this pawn, and also vacates a very beautiful square that can be useful for long side castling if the need arises. So, in this case, bishop comes out to c4, an idea that frees up f1, creates room for castling as early as possible, places a bishop against that square we are looking at this particular video. Well, this square is the focus, so let me highlight it alone. Now, bishop has come out to c4. What do you do? Before this video, I'm sure you don't know what I'm driving at, but now I'm driving at this square. A very good way to prevent pressure on this square is to play a beautiful move like this so that knight won't come there. However, in the future, you will see why this pawn push to h6 is very important. Pawn push to h6 was not played. So, black went on to play knight. This move is not that bad. This move also creates space here on the king side. Then, in turn, it develops a minor piece, which is a knight, and prepares to capture a free pawn in the center. What to do? White became creative and chose to play the gambit style. There is a video on why gambits are played on my channel on YouTube that you can watch and understand the importance and reasons why players play the gambit style. Number 1 reason why players play the gambit style is to deviate from the regular style they've been playing, so as to explore different concepts and ideas about chess and the opening. In this case, why are you giving out a pawn? He's giving out this pawn such that if black captures, he can expand territory with this particular pawn, harass the knight, then take space up after moving the pawn to e5 by commanding these two squares, then prepare to castle. The rook will be in the center, then many stuff can happen. Remember, after this pawn push, if pawn takes, after the pawn push, knight is under attack, knight needs to go back. That pushes black to make a move he doesn't want to make in the opening, thereby deviating him from his plan. Well, in the game, black captured the pawn. After black took the pawn, white went on with this idea. Why knight to g5? You see, knight to g5 support the bishop on c4 to increase the pressure on f7. This is one of the squares that beginners use, intermediate player use, experts use, grandmaster uses to infiltrate black's defense. At this point, you will notice that there is no strong defender of that pawn. You need to find a way to defend this. In the past, with my years of experience, I have discovered player play a move like knight here to e5, so as to use the knight to support in defending the pawn on f7 and also attacking one of the piece that is pressuring against that particular square. It's an idea. And earlier, if you notice, I played move like this, pawn to h6. It was not to allow the knight to land successfully on g5. That was why that move was played. Well, in this case, the knight is now on g5 successfully. What do? You find a good defense. I won't advise you to defend with your queen, because if you defend it with the queen, bishop takes is coming, check, and the king would still have to move, and you cannot take the bishop with the queen. So in this game, black chose to continue and he played bishop to b4 check. He went for a creative idea. Bishop blocks by white player, bishop takes, knight take. He played pawn to d6, ignoring the threat on f7. The bishop is strong, the knight is strong. So what to do? In this position, white chose to use the knight to capture the pawn, which in turn creates a double attack that reflects to the purpose of this video. Double attack is a move that attacks two pieces at the same time. In this case, this move, knight takes pawn on f7, attacks the rook and attacks the queen. What to do? Since there is already an attack, successful attack on the two pieces, you can save one at this time. Here in this position, black went for an inferior move, a move that a lower elo player would play. He played this move, bishop attacking queen. He failed to attend to his threat first and went for a counter that further put him in trouble after white played pawn to f3, attacking the bishop. Now we have three pieces under attack: the queen, the rook, the bishop. What to do? So in this position, I have explained the power of successfully carrying on an attack on a square with a piece, which is f7, and a knight supported by a bishop. Over to the next example. This example is going to show the strength of a queen combined with a4. How can we use a4 and a queen to apply successful double attack? You're about to find out. This has also affected me before, so I know that in every stage or every level of chess game, traps keep working. Well, I can't say this is a trap. This is a tactical idea. Pawn push to e4, e5, knight attacks the pawn. This time around, black chooses to defend with a pawn to d6. Pawn push to h3. It's a move that prepares for the future. White doesn't want to allow black bishop to come over to this square, g4. So you play that move ahead to prevent bishop coming down to create a nasty pin. on the knight against the queen. In this position, black continued with the knight to f6. Knight to f6 frees this square for the king to use in the future in case of short side castling. At the same time, you have developed a minor piece, then you are creating threat of capture of this pawn on e4. In this position, I do advise my beginners, my students, try defending with knight to c3, or you can defend with pawn to d3. But pawn to d3 blocks out the bishop from having influence over the game through to c4. However, knight to c3 is a good option since it keeps this diagonal open for the bishop to come into the game, and at the same time creates space to castle short side as quick as possible. Here, white choose to go very creative. After noticing that this diagonal is open, I was very amazed to see this kind of combination. After this move, he played pawn to c3. I have never taught my student this concept, but when this boy played it, I was very amazed to share with you guys that there are ways you can still create tension on the board without losing material and still even gaining more. And there are ways you can catch your opponent off guard if your opponent is too quick to make decision. This is exactly what's happened in this position. Black player, or the person playing black pieces, was too quick to make a decision. Yes, so he went on seeing a free pawn, ignoring the open diagonal to the king. He failed to observe this. See it. Then he took that pawn. Then the person playing white quickly played this move, check. He has to respond some way with the bishop, or with the knight, or with a pawn, or with a queen, or even moving the king. So let's go with a bishop. This produces these responses. Queen take, the knight. And that is how the knight was lost in just move 6. This is a double attack administered by a queen. This example is also connected to a4 and a queen against that king standing on e8. This game was played in this fashion where we have the opening played in a Gambit style, let's say the Petrov defense. Then we have giving out a pawn for activity. Now I was expecting this black player to take the pawn back, then develop the bishop, have pressure on f2, which is a weak link to the king or white camp, and castle. However, he went on to continue with a different concept, bishop to f5 instead. After pawn takes, he went up with bishop to f5. I don't know his game plan here. However, this series of moves in the opening has left this diagonal open. So you need to, as a player who saw opportunity or who have seen opportunity like this in my video, can cook up against a piece standing on this 4th rank, supported by the queen, you know. So he went on with knight. I would advise, the game is still fresh. Knight takes knight, pawn takes. This is an idea. But the person playing black choose to go with a different concept, bishop to c5, ignoring threat and also creating threat. This made white to capitalize on these mistakes and increase his concept by playing some series of moves. He went on to play knight takes knight, bishop takes. This in turn creates 2 hanging pieces, the bishop on c5 and the bishop on e4. So with the help of this diagonal through to a4, we checked the king. He was able to take this bishop after these responses. Another variation which could come up, taking it back some moves, is playing a4, queen to a4 now. Now, the issue with this particular playing queen to a4 early without simplifying is that if queen blocks this, it defends the bishop, and knight cannot take at the moment, queen cannot take. If the knight takes, queen takes queen, white is now losing. Queen cannot take because you will lose to the bishop and you are losing material. So the reason why I brought this up is that it is very important for you to simplify in some situation first, so as to get your tactical idea clear before carrying out the tactics. The tactics might come at the end or might come at the beginning. This is a double attack, so you need to know where to put it in to make profit. So in this case, knight takes, bishop takes, a hanging piece, no defender. So we create a check on a4. Queen now blocks or knight blocks. We can now take this. This example focuses on how you can combine the attention on these two squares plus the use of the two pieces. In another form or in another phrase, we can say, I want to show you how to use the combination of the two squares out of the three squares I mentioned in line with a knight and a queen to attack your enemy side or to attack your enemy camp, just to create problems and win. Now, this particular example starts with, it's a simple game that starts with pawn to e4, e5. Knight comes out, regular. Now we have bishop. Whenever you see the bishop, don't only think of a bishop on c4, think of f7. If you are playing as white, the same concept. Whenever you see or play bishop to c4, think of f7. As black also, think of f7. What to do, because this is the primary move that sets foundation for that piece to build on and attack the king through that square. So what did black play? Black went on to play this idea. Black's idea is to put the knight here on e7, block out the bishop. However, white went on with his idea, knight to g5. Just notice how knight and bishop are already hunting down f7. What to do? Black went on creative with this move. First of all, removing one of the attacking force by blocking. So pawn takes, knight take. Knight is still blocking the bishop. So we should also observe that the queen now attack the knight. In a regular game, talking to beginners, this is the point where you apply creativity, such as pawn push, which actually defends the knight. I used to preach defend before attack, although the knowledge has gotten me somewhere in my chess career. So it can also help you get somewhere, then you can now add more concepts to your knowledge. That was not played in the game. What's happened in this game? White is prepared to sacrifice a lot and go all in. I've seen some players in this position play queen to h5, still pressuring f7. Well, white chose to sacrifice the knight by taking the pawn on f7. You see, the attention is on that square, one of our squares we are looking at. f7 is now exposed after this sacrifice. In this position, black is obliged to make a move, either to save the rook or to save the queen or to take away the threat. And one of the permanent solutions to attending to threat is by capturing that threat out of the board. That's one of the permanent solutions. In this case, black went on to capture the knight. This brings out the second square in our three squares. You know, I mentioned f7, a4, and f3. This is where f3 comes in with queen check, harassing the king. Now the king is exposed. Secondly, the king cannot castle at the moment anymore because he has moved by capturing the knight on f7. So with this king exposed, we can cook up many attacks against the king. Taking the pawn on f7 with the knight gives us a pawn. Coming in with the queen check, a double attack to attack the king and attack the knight, is a system to take back a knight with a pawn advantage. However, since the knight has not been captured here, you will notice that black has +2 because knight is valued 3. That pawn we captured on f7 was 1. 3 minus 1, 2 plus 2 for black for now. So there are some defenses that still keep the game going, such as king coming down here to e6 to support in defending the knight so that white won't be able to capture. King e6, knight follows, pressuring the knight, then knight back to e7. These are moves I have seen in experienced players' games. However, to keep it simple and illustrate the strength of the square f7 and the queen, using the queen for double attack, let's stick with a move that lower rated players would think of playing, which is running away with the king. In a hurry, black played this move, run away, keeping the king safe away from check. This is where it was clear to black that the queen supports in attacking this knight, supporting the bishop. So only one defender but 2 attackers makes profit. Bishop takes the knight. Now white now have material plus 1 pawn, and that is the pawn he took on f7. In this position, it is good to find a good defense here. In my other video, you can check it out about double attack. It is important to find a good defense to a position so as not to fall victim. Then examine your position properly before you take a step, because some positions poses 2 attack or double attack. You need one defense that neutralizes these 2 attacks. Sometimes 3 attacks. You need one defense to neutralize the 3 attacks on just single move. In this position, queen can neutralize the attack because we have 2 attacks here. The first attack is on f7. When I mean f7 is that the queen is coming to f7 to make a checkmate, defended by the bishop. The second variation, which gives profit to white, is bishop takes knight check. Like I said, a way to take away threat completely on the board is by elimination, capturing that checking piece. So this is a check. Pawn takes the bishop that is now here on c6. After queen takes that pawn, queen now check, then this rook is under attack. That is possible. But at the moment, a pawn has been captured, which is the pawn here on b6 that is defending the knight. So 1 pawn, 2 pawn, 3 pawns, the more your opponent takes it from you, he makes profit and he becomes stronger with his army, while the person losing the pawn becomes weaker. In this case, black should find queen to e7. Queen to e7 defends f7 and also plays an eye on this square. So you see, the 2 variations I mentioned cannot work now anymore. However, black fell for just defending one variation, which is queen going to e7 instead. What is the purpose of queen to e7? Defending against checkmate on f7 with the queen. So bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes with check. There we go. If bishop blocks, then rook is gone. This is the last example in this video. If you are enjoying this video and you are watching on YouTube, do not forget to subscribe to this channel for more, like this video and share to your friends. However, if you are watching from other location of our social media, do not forget to follow or share the video to friends. It enables us create more content like this. So this last example, after pawn to e4, e5, knight to f3, attack the pawn, Here, pawn push, 9 takes, queen comes to attack the ninth. Ninth was defended. After this pawn attacks the ninth runs, pawn attacks ninth runs. Now, here, this pawn was defended because it could be captured by a bishop, and that's with check. So this position here, pawn takes, bishop takes. What do you observe? This diagonal is now open to the rook. The bishop is defended only once by a queen. So white finds a beautiful move, which is queen to f3, which attacks the bishop, attacks the rook. Thank you guys for watching. Do not forget to share this video if you've enjoyed it. Share it to more friends that loves to grow their chess game just like you are trying to do. Till then, enjoy your chess games.